for things that the art department gets involved in. And my wonderful colleague Eric Adams is here. And my wonderful colleague Deja Sandoval is here. Another art teacher named Carly Milberg who has joined us this year. And we really have a fabulous team. So just like recognizing a couple other guests, we have our keynote speaker Tina Hive here. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about her shortly, and we also have local muralists Linda Spencer and Roberto Regulato here tonight. They've been our keynote in the past for NAHS inductions, and they've also been working with us for the last
too long.
This is now our 4th year because the last 2 years Mr. Adams has written a Missouri Arts Council grant and has brought tens of thousands of dollars into the Lebanon system so that our students can work with professional artists like Linda and Roberto and others, but mainly Linda and Roberto, to create some of the beautiful murals that you see around the school and also like in the community. So super glad that you're here, and we're super excited about the young artists that we have here that we want to honor for their work in our community. So, yay, give yourselves a round of applause. So, I actually need a couple volunteers for this. So we have Josie Anderson here, who's sort of representing people who are already in National Art Honor Society. Didn't you get inducted last year?
I think it was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago. I actually have a slide for that, but do I remember what's on them exactly? No, I do not. This is my 31st year here. That's not counting the years as a student either. So Josie, come up here. I want to pick on you for a second.
Okay.
So I have some things here from the National Art Honor Society, and I want to make sure that you get to be involved in this induction ceremony and making sure that we're doing this right. We also have to light some candles. So this is our welcome and our introduction to NAHS history. Would you like to read that?
Sure, please. Give over the hand.
Okay.
I'll be reading. Sorry.
I like to just, then you didn't have to overthink it.
In 1978, the National Art Education Association began the NAHS program to inspire and recognize students who have shown an outstanding ability and interest in art. The program supports members in their efforts to attain the highest standards in art scholarship, character, and service, and to bring art education to the attention of the school and community.
Excellent. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements here. How many people are here for the induction tonight? Do we have 6? 6? I'm really sorry. I hear it all day. All day. Dr. Slide, you hear it all day. Not in your classes, right?
Not in my class.
They don't do that to you?
Absolutely not. Not happening.
Down in my world. Anyway, so let's just go around the room and try to pick on everybody a little bit, starting with B. B, read the first one, color.
Color comes from the sun to all things on the earth.
Fantastic. Allison.
Mine is the edge of all things on the earth.
Michael. Michael's chewing his food. He's very polite. We love Michael.
Form is the mass of the earth.
Finley.
Texture is the surface of all the earth.
And let's see, we have Lacey and Aiden and... Is this Alexia? Oh, yes, Alexia.
Space is the void, the emptiness.
I'm so glad you made it.
That's my favorite.
Wow, we did really great. Thank you, Alexia. So now I have 2 more people I haven't picked on yet. I haven't picked on Aiden, and I haven't picked on... Where'd Lacey go? There's Lacey. All right. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're all going to stand up. I'm gonna be super formal in here, but we're getting a little bit more formal than usual art student. Okay, so for art majors, it's pretty formal. Everybody stand up. Roberto is inducting himself in tonight. All right. Josie, lead them in the NAHS pledge.
The NAHS pledge. I will, in my life, to the best of my ability, through my talents and art, help to create a more beautiful world for myself, through humankind, and for all living things.
I could make you all read it in unison, but if you were just feeling that in your heart, that's good enough. If anybody, like, I don't know, like a thespian wants to like read it out again just because you must perform, you can. No? Okay, sorry. I was that kid that kind of liked getting picked on in class, and I have to often remind myself that other human beings are not like that. Okay, we have to light these candles. Do you notice the colors of the candles?
Yep.
Are they significant?
Yep.
Important? And even, what would we call them?
Primary colors.
Yeah. What's important about the primary colors?
You can make all colors out of the primary colors.
Yes. Okay, wait, you know how to use this thing?
That one? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go light the candles.
Okay.
Yes. You're the only one I trust with fire, and now I'm concerned. You know, early in my teaching career, I'm not sure if I should share this, but you know, we would like fire pottery outside. We would do raccoon pottery, and you're not in here. And so I don't carry a lighter around usually. But back when I first started teaching in the late 90s, it was never a problem to get a lighter, ever. And like, I took after my predecessor, Alva Hazel, in knowing exactly who I could look at and say, hey, kid, give me a lighter. Come on, I know you have one. But this is not a thing anymore. The world is changing. All right, good job, Josie. Thank you to our keynote speaker, Tina Hive, and Mr. Adams for making sure that we had a lighter tonight. All right. The Society's charge to new members. Mr. Adams, will you read this for us?
Be happy to. The Society's charge to new members. Take the world, its colors and forms, its lines and textures, its balance and movement and spaces. Combine all these into a beautiful statement of which it is to be a human. Give back to the world the same element of beauty that you, as an artist, take from it. Create beauty in the world with your talents and your living.
And just so you know, this is when we started doing this at Lebanon High School. So these are the few that our honorees are joining this evening.
Charter members.
Charter members, yes, exactly. And now we have our 2025 inductees. So we have like a very official certificate. For those of you who are seniors, you will receive an honor cord to wear for graduation. Part of like what we're doing here is when we have like tasks of people who are looking for things out in the community service, we really like to call on National Art Honor Society members to help contribute to that, because art is something that is to be shared in community. And so everybody that joins the National Art Honor Society is pledging at least 10 hours of doing some service hours. And you're doing some of that here tonight. There's an opportunity with Serve Lebanon coming up, and we're really glad that they organize that every year. The weather forecast doesn't look very good for our mural painting project. However, like, we can roll with it, and I think that when the weather is bad, you're going to be spending the day like designing some beautiful murals that are going to be helping at the Cope Shelter. we're just gonna have to like plan it some weekend or some time when we can get over there and work in community to put those up. So, with that being said, Miss Sandoval, would you help do the honor of like giving these certificates to these students?
Sit right here.
Just once, I want hair like yours. Just once.
It's only really nice in the winter.
So, Mr. Adams is gonna like make sure that everybody like gets their
Yeah.
certificate picture taken. So, do you want to lead?
Wait, do I have to do the thing?
Yep.
Like,
Do you want to do?
So-
I don't know if I have to
Yeah,
do the
Yep.
thing.
you can
So-
do the thing. You're the future.
When you guys come up here, if you would, I know if you will come here, I'll get a picture and then we'll make sure everybody gets to see it. Applaud.
Okay.
Hold the things and I give her the things.
I'm gonna hand this to you. Call out her name and have her come up here.
Okay, Lexi Pinkenbeard.
We're so glad that you're here. Congratulations.
Get a picture here.
Yeah,
Smile.
and then look at
Smile,
Mr. Adams.
please.
Here,
Here.
Okay,
I'll
there
do
you
this.
go.
hold up your thing. There you go. Nice
There
and
you go. I want to see
No,
that
you're good.
awesome
All right, ready?
certificate. Thank you.
All right.
Right.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, we applaud. Yay! All right. There we go.
Hey, Aiden Ladnier.
Come on down.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Aiden.
There you go, Aiden.
Smile. Thank you.
Lacey Melanson.
Congratulations, Lacey.
That's Lacey. Michael Owens.
Oh,
we gotta
sorry.
shake his hand at the beginning.
Yes.
Ready? Okay.
Thank you.
B. Russell.
Congratulations.
Hello, B. Go.
Thank you.
Finley Sly. That's so pretty, Dana.
Congratulations.
I love you. If you got it. Allison Davis.
Congratulations.
Hello, Allison. Sorry.
And we have a few that were unable to make it tonight, and they include Nikki Rubino, Avery Livingston, and Rochelle Ramirez.
Yes.
So congratulations! 2025 inductees.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
So a lot of you are my kids, some of you are not, and that's okay. But I've been around the art department, not as long as these two, obviously, but long enough over the last couple of years. Well,
I love you.
you know.
Totally.
But long enough that I've gotten to watch you guys grow as artists, even if it was just this semester or even years ago, and it has been so inspiring as a new educator. I am constantly, when I come to work, just overjoyed and filled with inspiration watching what these kids make every day. If your kid is here today, you should be very proud of them. These are very talented, very creative young artists and young minds. So, yes.
Absolutely, thank you. And also, they all went through a process to get here. They went and got letters of recommendation, and they submitted a portfolio. And I mean, frankly, that whole follow through is so important and something that we're trying to instill. And these students are setting an example for others. And they're bringing their leaders. They're bringing their peers along with them. And we're so grateful for it. It's having an impact. I mean, Students are coming up and asking, well, how do I get into that? Well, so tonight, our keynote speaker is none other than Miss Tina Hive. Miss Tina Hive was the 2024 MAEA Art Educator of the Year. She is a rock star. She's a former president of the Missouri Art Education Association. She taught at Marshfield High School for over 20 years. She is an inspiration. And I first got to meet her, I don't know, a dozen or so years ago with my colleague when we were doing some professional development, and our department at the time sent us to Marshfield High School because they knew that Tina was doing amazing things with her students there, and there are still some classroom practices and projects that I'm doing because of visiting Tina's room all those years ago. So let's give her a warm welcome. You can find Tina in our community because she lives between Lebanon and Marshfield at the Lebanon Art Guild. So she is one of our local artists, and we're so proud to have her in our community.
You know, it never works when you want it to, right? So my name is Tina Hyde. I taught high school art for 28 years. I started in Richland, just down the road. My husband and I have a farm at Phillipsburg, so I drove 45 minutes one way every day for 8 years. But it was a great place to start my career, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. But I left there to go to Marshfield, obviously because more money and a little bit closer to home. Because like I said, we have a farm there at Phillipsburg. And so I've been a resident of Lee County for more than 35 years. My husband and I just celebrated our 35th wedding anniversary, so it's been here a while. But so Eric contacted me, Mr. Adams contacted me and asked me if I would be your all's keynote speaker. And I'm like, what do I talk about? And he said, well, just talk about your awesome self. And I'm like, well, no, I don't know about that. But it is a real honor to be here. I'm very proud to be asked to do this and to talk with you all. I'm not sure exactly what great things I have to say, but I came up with my list of rules. You might have heard of Gibbs's rules from that television show, Gibbs Rules, and so these are Hyde's rules. And so from 28 years of teaching, these are the things that I've learned from my students for all these years. So I saw thousands of artists walk through my doors. Some were confident, some were terrified. Some who swore that they could draw a stick figure without a ruler even. And let me tell you, every single one of them taught me something about being a teacher, about having creativity, courage, and the human spirit. Okay. I was honored along the way, as Ms. Barker pointed out, that I was Missouri Art Educator of the Year last year in 2024. Which meant that I was honored on our state level and then again on the national level last spring in Kentucky. So that was quite an honor to me. I was the secondary Art Educator of the Year for Missouri in 2014. So another great honor. I was also Marshfield's High School Art Teacher of the Year. Or actually High School Teacher of the Year, I forget. But those awards were not about me as much as they were about my kids. I told my principal one time that I didn't need to compete because when my kids won, that reflected on me. I won because my students won and did well. I feel like I'm a much better artist today than I was as a beginning art student. When I think about the kind of art that I did when I was a beginning art student, it's a little bit cringy, you know. So these are the things that I've learned. So number one, and I think a lot of the students in here will have heard this, draw what you see, not what you think you know, right? Sure, Mrs. Barker and Mr. Adams say that all the time. Draw what you see, not what you think you know. But you can learn the rules so that you know how to break them. So you start off drawing what you see, but you learn how to see so that you can break those rules later on. So when I first started teaching, I thought art was about making things look good. That beautiful drawings, perfect color mixing, you had to master perspective, and I was afraid to show art that wasn't, in my mind, perfect. I thought that that reflected on me as a teacher. But over the years I realized that art isn't really about seeing things, it's about seeing differently. I've started being more accepting of work that exhibits a student's abilities and ideas. And I understand that there isn't just one way to create art. Artists don't look at the world, they notice it. The texture of a rusted mailbox, the way sunlight spills across a cracked sidewalk, the emotion in someone's eyes when they think no one's watching. Art trains us to slow down, to pay attention to what most people overlook. And in a world that moves this fast, that's a superpower. So when someone says, oh, you take art, you know, because sometimes they kind of do that face, you just say, no, I'm learning to see. I'm learning to see. So rule number 3, don't ever be afraid of making art. Sometimes as artists, that's really hard for us. We stare at that blank paper, we stare at that blank canvas, and sometimes we just don't know what to do. I teach college now for OTC, and if I just tell kids to create, sometimes they kind of freeze up. Sometimes they want that guidance. But here's a secret that I wish every young artist knew. Making art takes courage. You're putting yourself out there, right? The last few years that I taught, our congressional district really started promoting their competition, their congressional art competition. And I actually had 2 of my students win first place, which meant that their artwork was chosen to hang in the tunnel building at the Capitol for the entire school year, for the entire next year. In 2013 and then in 2015 and in 2014, the year between, one of my students, her work was chosen to hang in the Congresswoman's office in Columbia. So the second student that won, her work, she was picked her junior year. She won her junior year. So for senior year, I encouraged her, we need to enter again. But that year, the Congresswoman kind of changed things up, whereas before, you just kind of submitted some of your very best work from your students. She changed it up and said she wanted a patriotic theme. So this student took a little twist on that, and she did an embroidery piece where she incorporated fabric and embroidery stitches. She presented it in an embroidery hoop, left some of the string even hanging. You know, an embroidery hoop is fairly thin, right? It's maybe a ½ inch thick. But the subject was a house with a blue star flag hanging in it. I don't know if you're familiar with blue star families, or families who have people who are in the armed forces, right? And in her background, she showed pictures of, she had embroidered images of airplanes and explosions and bombs. So it was a little bit controversial. Well, I got the phone call that said we can't accept this work. And their reason was that it was too thick and not on traditional material. And, you know, so I argued a little bit and then said, fine, you know, whatever. But then I had to tell that student, I had to explain to her why they are saying they're not going to take your work. But we really knew the truth. So that took courage for her to submit that. It took courage for me to have to sit down and talk with her. And it was brave for her to do that, but she did. And she was even braver when that artwork was rejected. So every time you face a blank page or that lump of clay or an empty canvas, you're staring down fear. You're staring down fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough, and yet you create anyway. You take that leap of faith and you put yourself into the world, and that's bravery. Art isn't about beauty, it's about truth. Sometimes people can't take the truth very well. Rule number 4, forget that it isn't an exact replica, it's your interpretation. Besides that, no one's going to see what you're seeing. And I say that even with my college kids. I set up a still life and they're like, oh, I'm not getting this, I'm not doing this. But you know what? You take away that still life and no one's going to know unless you tell them, right? And then rule number 5 is, besides, everything looks better in a frame, right? It doesn't matter. I've got some of my little nieces, well, I say little, but they're like 40 now, knocking on 40. But when they were little, some of their little watercolor drawings, you put those in a frame and they're beautiful, right? It doesn't matter. Everything looks better in a frame. So every time you face a blank page, oh, I already said that. Art isn't about beauty, it's about truth, okay? So rule number 6, never think you're the best at anything. There's always room for improvement. And that brings me to remember a student I had years and years ago. He could draw a rose, and the kids just thought this rose was the coolest thing. He could draw this rose. Well, me as the teacher, I'm looking at that rose and I'm going, yeah, you know, that's a good rose if you're drawing what's in your head and not what you really see. So my point was, you can always work to improve, but he already thought that he was at the top of his game. Everybody loved his rose. He didn't want to try anything else. So we fought a lot over that. And that leads me to rule number 7. Practice, practice, practice. I'm 58, going on 59 years old, and I still practice every day. I never think I'm the best at anything. There's always room for improvement. And the way that you get better is that you practice. One of my very best students that I had, she graduated and had a $56,000 scholarship to the College of Memphis Art and Design. And I was so proud of her. But people would say to her all the time, oh my gosh, Sam, how did you get so good? And she'd just look at me like, duh, I practice. You know, I tell my students, you don't pick up a guitar and play it the very first time, not usually. You get better by practice. It's the same with art. So I won't lie to you and tell you that the creative path isn't always easy. There will be days when your ideas feel flat, your work frustrates you, and you'll wonder if it's worth it. But here's the thing. Every artist you've ever admired has felt that way. Everyone. Everyone. I still will look at work and go, what am I doing? You know, this is not going to hold up. This isn't going to be good enough. And I take it down there to the gallery and I hang it on the wall anyway, because somebody's going to like it. Somebody's going to like it. Vincent van Gogh once wrote, if you hear a voice within you say, you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. You don't have to be gifted, you have to be persistent. I had a college professor tell me, my drawing professor for drawing 2, tell me that I couldn't draw, and at the time I was a graphic design major. I couldn't draw and I needed to rethink my career choices, and maybe I should go into education. Womp womp. So I think he thought that was a real insult, but what he didn't know is that I always wanted to be a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher. My parents didn't want me to be a teacher. You'll never be happy and you'll never make any money. And they got part of that right. I'll let you decide. Keep sketching, keep experimenting, keep pushing through the days when nothing seems to work, because growth doesn't happen in the easy moments. It happens in the struggle, right? And when you finally step back and look at a finished piece that challenged you, that's when you understand what real accomplishment feels like. So rule number 8, and I tell my students this all the time, creativity doesn't happen in a vacuum. I'll say that again. Creativity doesn't happen in a vacuum. We create something because we are inspired by what we see or do or who we hang out with, right? The people that we hang out with, the things that we do. Art isn't made in isolation, it's made through connection. When you create, you're not just expressing yourself, you're speaking to others in a language beyond words. A painting can comfort someone who's grieving, A sculpture can make people question what they believe. A photograph can change minds and move hearts. Art reminds us that we are all human, that we share emotions, dreams, and struggles. As an art teacher, I saw shy students find their voices through art. I saw students who never felt good at school light up when they created something beautiful. The art room is a place people fit in, people belong. I remember one of my students, a quiet sophomore. She never spoke up in class. I had gotten her as a sophomore in a foundations class. And she was very sullen, came off kind of angry. You know, you didn't want to talk to her because you just knew she was angry. When I get students like that, I would go find out what's the story, what's going on. And I knew that she came from a rough home life. But I saw that she had some ability. And so one day I just kind of reached out to her and I invited her to come to an NAHS meeting. And she actually kind of responded with a snarly, why? Why would I do that? And I just said, because I think you have talent and I think that you would enjoy it, you'd fit in. And so she came. And again, that takes courage, right? She showed up. And so that one little moment of me reaching out and inviting her and telling her that I saw something led her to take every art class I could offer her. She ended up going to OTC for graphic design the last 2 years she was in high school. She ended up completing her associate's degree in graphic design, and she was the president of our NAHS her final year. And she is one of my real success stories. And all it took was one question. Would you like to come to our meeting? That's all. And that's why what you do matters. Because in a divided world, artists build bridges, right? Rule number 9, do something creative every day. And I don't really have any great words of wisdom for that. Just do something creative every day. I have a small little 4x4 sketchbook that I keep beside my chair, and I've got all these markers and pens and pencils sitting right there. It's a complete mess all the time, but I pick that up and I'm doing something in that little sketchbook. And it's a goal to complete a whole sketchbook. How many of you have sketchbooks that have tons of empty pages in them? Me too, man. My goal is complete and fill up those pages. Do something creative every day. You don't know what it's going to lead to, right? And then rule number 10, don't forget to stop and look. And the picture that I wanted to show you was a picture of me standing in front of Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night at the Met. And I saw that picture as I was preparing for this talk, and I do not remember being there. I don't remember being there. And I think because I was more intent on getting the picture than being in that moment, right? I don't remember seeing Starry Night. What is wrong with me? So that seems like a no-brainer, but in a world where we operate at the speed of light and through the screen of our phone, please stop and look. Notice the world and the people around you. And then I had to throw in one more, so I have a rule 10.5. I used to tell my students this all the time. Find what it is you love to do and figure out a way to make a living at it. You'll never work a day in your life. And that's not just my rule. I see that all the time, and it's the truth. So if you're wondering if you can make a life in art, if it's worth the time, the mess, the effort, let me say this very clearly. Yes, it is worth it. I taught for 28 years, and when I retired in 2021, the world had changed a lot. COVID had happened, and things had gotten really different. And I had to leave public education, but I didn't want to leave teaching. I love teaching. So I found my way. I teach for OTC. I teach classes down at the Guild. I just started picking up 4-H classes, which was interesting. We had our first one last Saturday. So I know what it is I love to do, and I find a way to do it, right? The world needs artists. We need your imagination, your courage, your sensitivity, your ability to see beauty where others see none. You may not all become professional artists, and that's okay, because creativity isn't just a career, it's a way of being. I have a friend that says she has to do art like she has to breathe air. It's how you solve problems, express empathy, and live a meaningful life. Keep your eyes open, keep your hands messy, keep your heart curious, because once you've learned to see the world as an artist, you may never see it the same way again. Thank you. Congratulations, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
I love her. So, thank you guys so much. We want to take some pictures, so y'all can't leave.
Yeah, maybe.
So, as a member of National Art Honor Society, you're part of a group of 58,000 students worldwide who show outstanding art scholarship, character, and service. You are creators, innovators, and leaders. Congratulations. And if you're not aware of this already, a few years ago, we started a partnership with our friends at Waynesville High School with their National Art Honor Society. And so you may have been part of our artist in residency with Dr. Lori Santos, who was here last month, and she also, we also had our friends from Waynesville come here. We also go on many interesting field trips. There's one to St. Louis that we just took. There's one in the spring to Kansas City. There's one to Crystal Bridges Museum. We really are proud of being part of a school community that supports all of these different activities in the arts. I will definitely, when you hear me say something, those of you that know me, know that if I'm saying it, I mean it. We have a legacy in this community of supporting the arts. The visual arts, the performing arts, and some of you are also performing artists. And that is a beautiful thing. And if I have to say something about the Lebanon area community that I dearly love, it is this legacy of supporting the arts. What a wonderful, beautiful thing that we have that you all are part of. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that the school lets us take students on what we like to call the magic school bus, and we'll take you around the world in one day through the arts. So if you haven't taken advantage of those trips, please do that. We invite our Waynesville friends, and so we're collaborating with them. We're building relationships with them, and so I know my friend Tina because of our inter-school collaborations and going to art teachers. We have conference in the woods every fall up in Noster. We go and we go and hang out with our people. We want that for you too. And so we're providing these opportunities. There was a lock-in here with Waynesville Art Honor Society. There will be one in the spring, except we'll go to Waynesville and hang out with them. And that'll be part of your service hours. So I just want you to know that there are things coming up. One thing that we need to do that we kind of slipped up and didn't do last year, and I'm just going to plead the whole moving the art department thing. Some things slipped, and one of them was we didn't vote on officers. But we had enough seniors that kind of took care of the leadership part of it. The slate's pretty clear. We don't have any officers in the National Art Honor Society. So watch out for some emails. Josie's the only previously inducted member who showed up tonight, was able to clear off her schedule. I hope she runs for office, and I hope you will consider her for a leadership position. You can also put your name in. So watch for some emails for that. Congratulations. I think that's
Oh, I add one thing.
Yes, please.
One thing I forgot to mention with the Lebanon Art Guild down there on West
Oh, yes.
Commercial.
Thank you.
We have membership for students that's free. So I would love to invite you to come down and find out about the Art Guild. We have some activities coming up this weekend. We have some members that are going to be in the parade. We have a holiday market that's going to be at the First United Methodist Church. And then December 12th, we're having a gala, a fancy schmancy thing. And you all are invited. We'd love to see you there. And come find out what we're all about. We give classes and we have galas and parties. You're invited.
Yeah, but if you guys remember, we had a Crossroads of the Ozarks festival in the fall, and you guys we kind of did an opportunity to show and sell work. I would be willing to meet any student who wants to show or sell work at the Methodist Church gym from pretty much 10 a.m. to 5. And this is an opportunity. You know, you may not make a lot of money, but showing your work takes guts. And this is where it counts. When you start to put yourself out there, you might plant a seed with another community member, and you might get a commission, or you just might find a friend.
Oh, can I make a note about the Art Guild? The Art Guild was a huge part of how I even got my job at LHS. The amount of community service and work that I got to do at the Art Guild, and I taught children's classes there while I was initiating getting my degree. I got lots of opportunities. A lot of you know I have a yearling business also. A lot of that came through connections through the Art Guild. So there's a lot of opportunity just to grow with your peers as an artist and make connections and network through organizations like your local Art Guild and being an National Honor Society member as well. So.
One thing that's really great about getting a bunch of art types together is we all present a little differently, but I'm going to tell you, like when we're all in a room together, you start to pick out the whole. Oh, okay, I see how creatives are. Again, like we don't all like show up in the same way, but you start to see the strand that holds us all together, and it's really a beautiful thing. So I want that for you. So thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you for bringing your people. I'm so happy to see all the parents and grandparents and special people that you all have brought in here to share this honor. So thank you so much for your time. You have to, those of you, the inducted members and Josie, we have to take a picture with you, and it'd be cool to take a picture with everyone.
Yep.
Mr. Adams is in charge of all the pictures.